Lights.
Camera.
Philosophy.
It's the 2025 Dionysus Awards.
For the most thought-provoking movies of the past year.
And the nominees are...
For Best Film in which character change is not all it's cracked up to be.
You want to control people? You tell them a Messiah will come. Then they'll wait for centuries.
For Best Movie about religious people who aren't entirely what they seem.
You read more than we do. No, seriously, we should be more like you, Mr. Reed. Mr. Reed.
For Most Moving Meditation on Fierce Female Friendship.
That's attached to my head, you know.
I know, because I put it there myself.
Boy, you really know how to administer punishment. You should have been a prison warden.
The 2025 Dionysus Awards.
Coming up on Philosophy Talk.
Hi, I'm Ray Briggs.
And I'm Josh Landy with an urgent message. In early April, we were informed that our grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities to produce the Wise Women series had been terminated by the current administration.
This decision also puts in jeopardy our recent proposal to the NEH to do 2 more seasons of this important series. That funding is now clearly off the table, leaving us in a very precarious position. Our future is on the line.
We recognize that everyone is facing challenging times, but if Philosophy Talk is something you value and want to see continue, please consider a gift of support right now at philosophytalk.org/support.
Every contribution helps, but if you can find a way to give $500 or more, we'll thank you by name in the credits for the show.
In the meantime, as always, thank you for listening.
And thank you for thinking.
Is it better to be resilient or to feel your feelings?
What makes a strong friendship? Hard truths or soft lies?
Should people change who they are or should they stay the same?
Welcome to Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything.
Except your intelligence. I'm Josh Landy.
And I'm Jeremy Sable, sitting in for Ray Briggs. We're coming to you from the studios of KALW, San Francisco Bay Area.
Continuing conversations that begin at Philosopher's Corner on the Stanford campus, where I teach philosophy.
And where I teach in the Structured Liberal Education program.
Jeremy is joining me once again for our annual celebration of our favorite, most philosophically compelling movies of the past year. It's the Dionysus Awards.
Josh, there were quite a few movies I enjoyed this year, like Mad Max Furiosa.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Or Juror Number 2, which presents a fascinating ethical conundrum.
I got called for jury duty. The Kendall Carter case?
How about Emilia Perez, that somehow manages to be a musical about drug cartels and gender? Or that beautiful documentary, Will and Harper.
You recognize this guy? This is a Hollywood movie star.
No.
You don't recognize
Okay. That's okay. Roll up the window.
Are you deliberately trying to annoy our Dylan-loving producer, Devin?
All right, I'll mention it. A complete unknown.
Oh, where have you been, my blue-eyed son?
I really liked it.
Me too. But I have to say, I think our nominees are even better. Later, we'll give the award for Best Film in which character change is not all it's cracked up to be.
And also for Most Meaningful Meditation on Fierce Female Friendship.
And, of course, we'll take nominations from listeners like you, who've written to us about other thought-provoking Dionysus-worthy films.
But first, Best Movie about religious people who aren't entirely as they seem.
So we got 2 contenders here, each with a one-word title, Heretic and Conclave.
Conclave was so great. It was all about the election of a new pope and everything that goes on in the Vatican Council.
You had me at council and pope and election.
Okay, I get it, but it's actually gripping. You get colorful characters, complicated conflicts, backstabbing baddies, and a ton of twists and turns.
Dean Lawrence, an issue. Oh, dear God. One of them's died. I'm sorry? Have we lost the Cardinal? No, Your Eminence. We seem to have acquired one. I mean it literally. Another Cardinal has just turned up.
What's cool about Conclave is that it shows us a battle not just for the papacy, but for the soul of the church, with two very different visions duking it out.
Exactly. You've got Cardinal Tedesco, who's played by Sergio Castellito. He's this massive conservative. And then you've got Cardinal Bellini, who's played by Stanley Tucci. He's a hardcore liberal. He thinks maybe birth control isn't all bad. Maybe same-sex love is okay. And maybe even women can serve in the church.
Let's not mention women.
Why? Brother, I have no intention of concealing my views or pretending to be anything other than I am in order to sway any of our number who are undecided. So, if you want to canvass on my behalf, then make sure that my message is clear. I stand for everything that Tedesco does not.
I mean, we do see one or two women in this movie, but they tend to be pretty much relegated to the background.
Yeah, even Isabella Rossellini.
Yes, even Isabella Rossellini. It's such a clever move on the part of the filmmakers. They put this gigantic star in the movie only to give her like 2 lines. It gives you a really powerful feeling of just how skewed this world is from a gender standpoint.
Well, good afternoon, sister. I would like to speak to the nun who dropped her tray just now.
She's safe with me. I'm dealing with the situation.
I'm sure you are, Sister Agnes, but I must see her myself.
I hardly think a dropped tray should concern the Dean of the College of Cardinals.
Even so,
The welfare of the sister is my responsibility.
And this conclave is mine.
So that's part of the drama. Which vision of the church will win out? A more inclusive, forward-looking vision, or one where women and gay people are sidelined? But there's another divide here, too.
Is that the divide between certainty and uncertainty?
Exactly. While the liberal and conservative cardinals are duking it out, there's also a kind of referee in the middle, and that's Ray Fiennes as Cardinal Lawrence. And he has a really interesting theory about what makes the best leader.
Certainty is the great enemy of unity. Certainty is the deadly enemy of tolerance. If there was only certainty and no doubt, there would be no mystery, and therefore no need for faith.
That's really interesting, because you might think the best leader is someone who's fully committed to their convictions. But here's Cardinal Lawrence saying, you know what, a little bit of doubt actually helps. It keeps you grounded, keeps you open, keeps you honest.
I know a few politicians who could do with watching this film.
No kidding. And it kind of goes along with the idea that the worst possible candidate for a top job is someone who desperately wants it. That could be straight out of Plato's Republic.
That is straight out of Plato's Republic.
Aldo doesn't want it. Any of it. You know that, don't you?
Of course I do. That's why I support him. The men who are dangerous are the ones who do want it.
See, I told you this movie was philosophically interesting. It's about progress versus change. It's about confidence versus doubt. It's about scandals in the church and whether they say anything about God or just about flawed human beings and the structures they live in.
That reminds me of my favorite scene in the movie. It's this glorious high-angle shot of a ton of priests, each wearing exactly the same clothes and all carrying identical umbrellas. You can't tell one priest from another, which is a beautiful way of raising a question about the church as institution.
I mean, how much does it even matter which person gets the top job? Can even a great pope save the church? Could even the best pope do real good in the world?
Yeah, and conversely, could even a bad pope ruin the good work done by the church? These are really good questions. And I have to say, Jeremy, you've totally talked me into your movie, Conclave, but can I talk you into mine?
Heretic? I don't know. That's a horror movie. Kind of scary. I brought a pillow to hold on to.
Yeah, okay. I have to say, I empathize with that. I'm pretty squeamish myself when it comes to movies, and I really don't like horror, but I do like this one.
All right. Let's get you a baptism.
So you've got 2 Mormon missionaries, both young women, arriving at a house in the pouring rain. Inside the house is a Mr. Reed, played by Hugh Grant, and he claims to be interested in joining the church, but he may just be a giant creep.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Sister Paxton, and this is my companion, Sister Barnes.
Are you Mr. Reed?
I am. Hello to you. Hello. Wait,
Hi.
you are Paxton, you are Barnes.
No, Paxton Barnes,
Paxton,
yes.
Paxton Barnes.
So far, so horror. where's the philosophy, Josh?
Well, it turns out this guy's a bit of an expert on theology. He spends a whole bunch of time trying to talk these poor women out of their faith. And he's got an impressive array of arguments and board games.
Yeah, I remember him making the point that there are like 10,000 religions in the world, each claiming to be the one true faith. And it would be a pretty wild coincidence if the religion you happened to be brought up in turned out to be right and everybody else turned out to be wrong.
And by the time I was 50, I was malnourished from the fast food of religion I'd been packing into my brain for the best part of a decade. Every sect, cult, creed, and denomination all claim to be the one true doctrine, and yet none seem true when held under the microscope.
Another pretty wild coincidence would be if God's word somehow got impeccably recorded by human beings, given how fallible we all are.
If revelation by God is filtered through man, and man is flawed, and man sins, and man lies, then how do we know any of it's true?
We know it's true because of how it makes us feel.
Bingo! That's exactly right.
And don't forget the problem of suffering. These two women believe in a God who's omnipotent and benevolent, but one of them saw her father waste away from a degenerative disease.
When your father lost control of his body, did you think it was God's plan to ruin his life? Or did you go on believing something that you know is not true just to give you comfort because you were afraid of what it might mean if it was all a lie?
So if billions of people believe in religion, that doesn't necessarily mean they're right. Maybe it just means they're afraid.
I'll tell you what's frightening. Not knowing is frightening. Where do we come from? What are we doing here? What's our purpose? The terror of those questions is why religions exist.
And that's part of Mr. Reed's psychological argument. He says a big driver of faith is fear. And the other part is credulity. We tend to believe what we're told, regardless of how likely it is to be true.
Do you believe in God because somebody told you at an impressionable age that God is real, despite having doubts as you got older, despite seeing evidence to the contrary your whole life?
Something I love here is that he doesn't just say this. He proves it. He has a little live demonstration as if to say, look how easy it is to get people to believe things.
Yeah, but the women aren't just passive spectators. The two women start out rather naive about their religion, but they end up making some pretty decent arguments of their own.
I mean, you asked why Judaism only makes up 0.2% of the world's population, but didn't even pause for the Holocaust. You make no acknowledgement of the religious persecution Jewish people have faced. You just use it as a setup to a punchline about missionaries. And then you skip over the fact that none of this addresses Islam, as Muslims don't even believe Christ was resurrected. And then you point out all the similarities these mythological gods have with Jesus, but breeze over the many glaring differences. One of these guys has a freaking bird head!
So it becomes a really fascinating scenario. Definitely not one I've seen before in a horror movie.
Yeah, it's certainly the only horror movie I've ever seen that offers up quotes from Voltaire and Zhuangzi.
So you end up in a kind of conversion contest. They want him to become a Mormon. He wants them to become atheists. Who's going to win?
Well, we won't give away what happens in the end. What we can say is that the film leaves a bunch of questions open. Is there a God? If so, of what religion? And what accounts for all the suffering in the world? And if there isn't a God, why do so many people believe in one? And how do we deal with our fear?
So what do you think, Jeremy? We've got conclave and we've got heretic. Pugnacious priests or creepy converts? Which is going to win this year's Dionysus Award?
Well, Josh, you've talked me round about Heretic. It's definitely more interesting than I first thought. But I have to say, Conclave is so philosophically rich, and it's also visually stunning. It almost makes me believe in God, or at least the Pope.
So, the 2025 Dionysus Award for Best Movie About Religious People Who Aren't Entirely As They Seem goes to...
Conclave.
If you want to defeat Tedesco...
This is a conclave, Aldo. It's not a war.
It is a war. And you have to commit to a side. Save your precious doubts for your prayers.
Want to hear more? You can find the complete episode on iTunes Music, or for unlimited listening, become a subscriber at philosophytalk.org.